CMPRadio.net, the voice of Chester. CMPRadio.net. It's the station.
CMPRadio.net. You already know it's your boy Uncle P. And listen, man, it's election season. You already see me. I had an interview with Ms. Pat Worrell this past Tuesday, and I had an interview with Chef Lamont. Right now, I'm about to interview the current council member, Mr. Will Morgan, right? The deputy mayor. Listen, you know, I'm gonna let. You okay, brother? You all right?
I'm good, man. I'm ready. I'm good, man. I'm ready. How you doing, though? I appreciate you, Pierre, man. I appreciate you for opening your doors again to me and to everybody, man, and allowed me to come up here on the CMP radio to at least be able to clear the air on some things once again.
Right.
And just to be able to talk freely about some of the things that we still see and need to do here in the city of Chester. So I know you probably got a
plethora of questions, a whole lot of questions.
But I probably can address at least one or two of them. Just with an opening statement. And
right,
an opening statement ain't really political. It's just the cut to the chase and to continue to be transparent with some of the things that has happened over the last few years. So some of you may know, obviously I've been in this role for 6.5 years as the elected official, council person here in the city of Chester over the finance department. And a lot of things we've been able to do to improve the financial situation within the city of Chester. But then also there's a big dark cloud over us within the city of Chester that we have unfortunately not been able to really unravel or find ways to really start chipping away at those things. Within that, there's a lot of things that we have to do within city government as far as paying our bills, paying expenditures, paying insurances. And one of the things that we are tasked with is, as I mentioned, is paying our insurances. So back in, I don't know, maybe sometime around the summertime of 2022, the city of Chester, if you have not known, was caught up in an phishing scam, whereas emails got transferred to whereas we were talking to insurance brokers, and next thing you know, we were talking to fraudsters or scammers. We ended up wiring $400,000 to some fraudsters, and we have. There's a process that we do have in place, a dual control process. So someone initiates a wire, then someone has to approve a wire. And really everyone should be reviewing all of that information. Unfortunately, we didn't do that. The person who initiated didn't do the full detail of the review. The person who approved didn't do the full detail of review. And unfortunately, the city of Chester, at that time, lost $400,000. What I did immediately was, as we looked at the upcoming or next month, saw that things were familiar as far as financial numbers, as far as invoicing to our workers' comp insurance carrier, started to do a reconciliation of that, and noticed that the numbers were aligned, and noticed that going back into the email thread, we were talking to fraudsters. Literally, the email chain or person that we were speaking to at first was srose@connorstrong.com, communicating with that person. Somehow, some way, srose@connorstrong.com turned into srose@connorstrong.us.com. So we all know these scammers, fraudsters are very, very tactful as far as what the things that they do and how they can get into the systems and keeping things very close to the norm. So we immediately reached out to the police department, our insurance brokers and carriers. So there's our insurance broker, our insurance carrier. Who else did we reach out to? And we have another insurance broker that we reached out to, our internal IT company as well, and really just to see what happened. Like, how did someone get into our system to, I guess, not hack our system, but to redirect some of our email chains. With that, after gathering all of the information, a lot of people are saying, well, you didn't communicate it, you didn't bring that to the public. And I want to be clear that William Morgan was the person who brought it to the public. I provided a press release to the media. I provided a press release through City of Chester, through our social media platforms. I'm the person that did that, no one else. Also communicated that with the mayor and council once all of the things were some form of together as far as the information that we received from the banks, from the insurance carriers, everyone who we reached out to really try to see if we can recoup those funds. One of the things that I've always said, to not just on this campaign trail, but it's just in life, we want to be truthful, we want to be thorough and honest and transparent. And I've been that since I've been in this position. And when a person messes up, they have to be able to fall on that sword and say, like, I messed up, I screwed up, take accountability and responsibility of that. But the most important piece to that is that you have to put the effort and the time in to find out how do you get better from that. And with that, I can honestly say that I've gotten better and that the employees within City Hall have gotten better. And how have we gotten better? The solutions that I've already mentioned when I provided the press release and when I spoke on CMP radio maybe 2 or 3 times. And when I brought it to the MFRAC meeting on a Tuesday, me speaking to it, not anybody asking about it, I'm bringing it to the forefront. And then also speaking about 2 or 3 times in a council meeting as well. People may ask the questions, but people don't have to ask because I've been upfront, personable, and transparent with it 100%. It's nothing that you can run from. The city initially lost $400,000. Because we went through the insurance broker, we did recoup $100,000 of that. So the loss there is $300,000. But the things that we did and put in place to limit or hopefully reduce that from happening moving forward, first of all, we this is ongoing, but we have to improve our IT infrastructure. We do have some funds to do that now, and that's our servers, our networks, our laptops and desktops, making sure that is stronger, strengthening those operations. Making sure that the employees are going to the cybersecurity classes and taking those types of courses and training so they can understand how fraudsters or scammers, try to tap into the network or the types of things that they do as far as saying, hey, I need my direct deposits changed, or hey, this wire is we need to see this payment immediately. Those are all the types of things that we've been able to go push through the trainings within the department, within myself as well. Talking with our banking as well, understanding that we already have dual control in process, and dual control is meaning that's normally that's 2 people that's looking at it and reviewing it before approval. But also, what else can we do? So speaking with the bank is, hey, can we reach out? Can you all let us know when there's a wire come through? Can you confirm it via phone call, via email? Those types of things are the things that we reached out to try to put in place. So when negative or very, I guess, on the wrong side of impactful things happen, again, it's the bounce back. It's how do you recover from those types of things that really tells the true testament of a man, of a professional, of an individual who was in a leading position and who was here to lead and for the right causes. So I wanted to be able to clear the air with that, P. I know that there's a lot of, there's some questions behind that.
A lot of questions.
There's a lot of questions behind that.
Right.
And so again, that isn't something I've ever ran from. As I mentioned, I'm the one who provided the press release.
Right.
I'm the one who spoke on it on many different shows or different platforms. I don't mind continuing to speak on it. And that's just what it is at this current point. So,
And
but I wanted to start off with that, Pete, and then obviously we'll be able to talk through some more things. But that's very important for individuals to truly understand that when we mess up, we have to stand in front of the not always the cameras, but it could be in front of your children. It could be in front of your significant other, whomever it may have to be. And
I know all about that, right?
And we gotta recognize it. Recognize real. You know, you gotta stand on that sword. But again, you gotta look at the person of who they really are, not with the pictures that people try to paint. And then really see how they move after that, the effort, the timing that they put in to learn, to become better. And I think that, I know that's the things that I've done, and that's the thing that those employees over in the city of Chester have been able to do as well. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Will Morgan, you are the current councilman. You are in charge of the finance department.
Yes.
You are the deputy mayor of the city of Chester. You have been doing this job for the last 7 years?
6.5.
6.5.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I'm lying.
No?
26 September 2016.
Yeah, 7 years.
About
yeah.
6.5.
7 years.
Yeah.
7 years. Has there ever been a time where you felt as though you didn't want to do this job?
No.
No?
Because, well, let me say this. You have your doubts. Sometimes it's like, dang, it's a lot going on. Because I City of Chester, we're understaffed and overworked for the most point. There's a lot of things that we need to do here in the city and the community, and sometimes you feel like you just don't have enough resources, you don't have enough funding, you don't have enough help or hands to do the things that you want to do. So I think just that's more of the frustration side of it.
Right.
When my time is done, my time is done, and I don't think it's now, but I never really did not want to do it. I'm always wanting to see how I can help to improve the city of Chester, or improve a neighborhood, and whatever category that we're talking about. So never really doubting myself, never doubting that we couldn't be better tomorrow than what we were today. And I think that's what we want as a leader, as an elected official. Even just as a leader, point blank a leader, whether you're a CEO of business. Today could have been great, but how can we make tomorrow greater?
Tomorrow better.
Right. How can we build better with tomorrow, whether it's your investments, whether it's the cleanups? Like, there's always room for improvement within a person or individual. So not ever wanting to do it. You sign up for this. Like, when you run for your term. So for me, at no point in time of my term did I say I don't want to do this no more, or have thoughts of I don't want to do this no more. It's more so, again, it's just a frustration, but always trying to find out how do you come up with some type of solutions to remove that frustration from the left side of your body, pretty much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your education, because your education is in finances, right?
Yeah. So yes and no. Okay. So I went to school for communications. Okay. I wanted to be where you sat.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I wanted to be where you sat, man. I said if I wasn't going to play sports, I wanted to be surrounded by it. So I wanted to be some form of a sports broadcaster. That was always what I wanted to do. But in college, I started off trying to major in accounting, and then I switched it to communications. But with that, I still took courses in accounting, economics, business, and things like that. But once I left school, I went into a financial institution and working in the banking industry.
Right.
So education-wise, I have those classes, those courses, but it's more so those plus experience that really has gave me the groundwork for finances. So I worked at TD Bank, many of you may know, in Brookhaven. In that role, I was their financial service rep, so I really handled all of the wealth clients for this region, for Chester, Brookhaven, really the good part of the Delaware County region outside of when you go to the Darby. Sometimes they might have their own. Right. The Aston area I've handled. So when clients would come in with a good amount of assets, you try to find ways to position that and manage it for long-term growth. That's through insurances, life insurances, that's through annuities, that's through IRAs, Roth for traditional 401ks, different things like that. So really that's where a lot of my background is, more on the benefit side of long-term investment. Right. So yes. Yeah.
So we have the 300,000, and then we have the IRS 750,000. Mm-hmm. Can you explain that?
Yeah, that's a system error.
That's a system error.
Yeah, we filed. So people need to understand. This is the first time the city has had interest and penalties from the IRS at all.
Right.
And every time the city has had these issues, when we communicate with the IRS, they always say, well, you filed it. It's all interest and penalties. Not for like, it's all interest and penalties. So once you come back and provide us with the updates, we'll just abate it.
Right.
And the city has had abatements on interest and penalties in the past. So the city, we had a system called Pentimation. SunGard financial software. It automatically, so all of our data is in there, payroll, all the data is in there, payroll, taxes. Every year around January, February tax season, prints out the W-2s, prints out to your 1099s. It automatically does that with the data that's in the system.
Right.
We submit that to the IRS, and the IRS has it. The IRS pretty much says that they're saying that some of these numbers aren't in alignment with your W-2s and W-3 doesn't match your. There's another IRS document that's not there. So they pretty much saying that it's not aligning. So what they're saying, but it's a system error.
Right.
It's not manual. It's nothing manually that's being done or whatnot.
Absolutely.
It's a system error. So, and it's interesting, OP. Excuse me. What's interesting about that is that the city of Chester has had the SunGard Pentimation financial software since since 2000, the year 2000.
Right.
What's interesting is that 2016 is the first year that they say that the IRS stuff is messed up.
Right.
That's the only year they go back to. Now that's when I got in the office.
Right.
It just don't make sense to add up to me. So all of a sudden, when I got in office, now mind you, I was appointed,
right,
and the people who was doing the work have been in finance department since 1998. So somebody that's been doing this since 1998, every year has pretty much been solid.
Right.
But in 2016, all of a sudden, it's a big IRS issue.
So did you fire anybody out of the department? Did you keep everybody?
Guess what? It just came up. It just came up in 2020. The IRS reached out to us and said, we have a problem. We got to look into this. Now, mind you, they're saying this is in 2020. They're coming up for 2016.
Right.
We're like, well, what happened in 2017? Why you didn't reach out to us? Or 2018? Why you didn't reach out to us?
It takes a while. It takes a while.
Listen, I understand.
The IRS, because they on my top, they on me. You feel me? I gotta pay my taxes.
But yeah, so that person, first of all, that person is a great worker.
Right.
Great worker, knows her stuff in and out. Probably one of the most, if not the most, at the time when she was working there, most intelligent person financially within the city of Chester's finance department. And let me tell you about this. You know how government works and administrations work. That's a person who has been in an administration and has sat with Republican administrations and Democratic administrations, and she worked through all of that. Since 1998 to 2022, and all of a sudden in 2016, there's something coming up as not being right. Just doesn't add up. But nonetheless, it's a system error, and we've communicated with the IRS, and the IRS has been working with us, and they pretty much said, just get us the updated information, and we'll and request the abatement, and we'll work with you all.
As a public servant to the city of Chester, you serve the public, right? And
100%.
So do you feel as though you've done your job 100% as a public servant?
No, there's a lot to do.
Right.
Because, and I say that because, and I understand everything can't get done.
Right.
Now, at least not while I'm here, because it takes time. Things take processes, things take time. But I can honestly say that whenever someone brings something to my attention, as far as a thought, as far as a need, as far as addressing just a simple issue, I can say 100% that those things have been addressed, for sure. Right. When it comes to blight and code enforcement, demoing properties, having someone come out to serve or cite a landlord or those types of things, no, we get right on that. Okay. When it comes to, hey, the city, we need more recreation for the youth, that's an ongoing conversation we're going to always ask for. Right. And I'm fine with that. Right. Just acknowledge some of the things that we already have, but let's try to see how we can add to it. Like I just had a conversation, this week or last week, and it was like, we need something on the west end of Chester, like a Boys and Girls Club. And I said, I've been fighting for that. I had an opportunity close to get a Boys and Girls Club. Not so much on the west end of Chester, but I would say near Memorial Park. Right. Not good enough. The west end of Chester. West end of Chester. It's Memorial Park. And wasn't able to go all the way through. And then we started talking about the access center. So all I'm saying is there's things that I still want to do. I know that I've addressed a lot of the concerns or wishes that people will want, whether it's financial, such as helping them out via grants, whether it's cleaning up an area or a neighborhood. I guess so much going on. And speaking of grants, if I may, let me divert real fast into that. There's a lot of people out here in our community that want to salute me and the Amachi program for giving money to these organizations. Then there are some that's saying why they're giving money.
Why
out
you
to
giving
the
the money now during campaign season? Like
Yeah.
you're the only person running that has access to a checkbook that can hand out $5,000, $8,000 checks. So to me, when I say that, come on, we'll do that after you still in office, right? But
I'll tell you, go ahead.
There's no such thing as bad publicity, right? You know, all publicity is good publicity, right? I just feel as though, you know, like handing out the checks now, and I didn't call you. I wanted to. I said, no, I'm not going to call him. He's grown. He's going to do his thing his way. But handing out the checks now just puts that situation out there for people to break down, because we already know, right? When we deal with money, you know, the $300,000, you fished out of that. The $750,000, and it's like Will's not doing his job, but I know the person that you are. You feel me? So I know the fact that you're intense on making sure this is right, making sure that is right, and things just. I probably would have made the same mistake on the emails, honestly. You feel me? .us. I'm not going to look at that. You understand what I'm saying?
The emails don't even show up. It's just the person's name. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like when you look at the email, like you'll just see. I guess I don't want to say the person's name, but her name starts with first name starts with an S, the last name is Rose, but it just say the person's name.
Right.
And you think you just literally going through a thread.
Right.
And then they actually sent the actual invoice.
But how did they? So the question that everybody says is, how did they know that you were dealing or paying this bill to be jumping? And then I'm just like, well, if
that's
you're a
what
scammer,
we're trying to find out.
If you're a scammer, you're watching that company to see who they're emailing back and forth. Somebody inside of their situation is giving somebody else information, right? Somebody inside of our situation is giving somebody else. Either way, there's an inside man on every job. 100%. And I feel like, you know, when you sit up here and you take accountability and you say, listen, man, I know I messed up. I have to take, because I'm the person in charge of it. I'm the person that's going to have to pay this bill on this when it comes time for it to be paid. I apologize. It won't happen again, but you have to give me an opportunity, right? Because I don't know if things go and we're looking at who's going to run our finance department.
And to add to that, like you said, that's the investigation that we were trying to come up with. How would they know exactly the invoice that was supposed to be paid? Like how would something like that happen? Right. And I didn't even say this. I spoke to the attorney auditor general's office. Right. Like, people go to jail, bro. Right. Like we ain't got nothing to hide. Right. Like it's a mess up for sure, but we ain't got nothing to hide. So, I spoke to them about it, and they said the same thing. Like, how would they get that invoice? I said, I don't know. Our IT says that it wasn't anything inside of our systems from what they found. Right. I will say that the broker wasn't as helpful as I thought they would have been. Right. Insurance broker who we thought that we were communicating with, but. I mean, that's what it is.
Why would they be as helpful? Because they got something in their side that's doing things wrong.
Yeah, but let me go back real fast.
Go ahead.
Because you mentioned why give it out now.
Right.
The checks should have been given out in last year. Okay. They should have been given out last year. Right. What happened is Will started fighting. Okay. Will fought with the state, me and the Amachi program, Mr. Jamar Daniels. Right. Good brother, doing amazing things in the community, man.
That's my guy.
He a good dude.
Guy. Absolutely.
Fighting with the state to say, hey,
this is our money.
It's $85,000 here. We need this money. We're not giving no money back to the state.
Right.
So we went to battle. They finally opened it up. Right. Now, again, the money should have been. We was probably supposed to give out the money. I would say somewhere around September, October, bro. No bull. Seriously, fighting with the state. They didn't open it up to like January, February. So it just so happened, and like, okay, now we good to go. Let's try to get these checks out through the process. So it just so happened. And you saying we can wait? Unfortunately, I got people calling me, bro. These organizations saying, hey, we need that money. We need that money. Right. They may not be in season, but they calling me. I ain't got no reason to hold the money up. The money here. Right. So I'm just giving it to them, bro. That's just simple what it is. Okay. So that's how it is, man. Right. And it's grant money. Right. It ain't general fund money. Right. We ain't have to give it to these organizations, but we just said, you know what? We're going to give it to these organizations. They doing good work. They need uniforms. They need paint. They need, now I never say registrations because the parents still need to pay for registrations.
Right. Absolutely.
But they need everything else to run their organization, man. And it takes a lot. So So that's really how it was and how that came about. And before we go into the next thing, we did talk about $300,000. That's a mess up, bro. We take ownership and accountability for that.
Right.
But what I want to add is that Will Morgan have negotiated and put deals and plans in place to save the city at least $5 million on an annual basis.
I'll talk about that a little bit.
Cool. You say how?
Right.
Well, when we negotiated a contract in 2016 with the police and fire and Teamster unions, a part of that was to change our health care from a fully insured plan to a self-insured plan. You get me? So meaning we're only self-insured. We're only paying as the employees go to the doctors. We're not paying just I'm young, bro. I mean, I go when I can. Get my little physical. We probably should go on an annual. I go on an annual basis. I would say that. But all I'm saying is, the city doesn't have to pay for me every month $10,000, $13,000, $15,000, and I'm not even going to the doctors every month.
Right.
So we changed that plan to a self-insured plan. The self-insured plan allowed us to really, I want to say that roughly saved the city like $3 million a year on that aspect, like $3 to $4 million a year. That's that. And then what we did was we enforced retirees who get the benefits. So police and fire, any retirees actually, that's eligible for medical benefits. We got a Medicare supplement plan. So instead of them being on the active plan, the active fully insured plan, we pushed almost all of those retirees to a Medicare supplement plan, whereas we saved roughly from going from almost $10,000 a month to paying, I want to say like $1,500 a month. Bro, we lost $300,000, but over the tenure since 2018, I've at least saved the city $5 million on an annual basis, bro. And if we calculate that, that's at least $20 to $25 million since 2018.
Right.
All I'm saying is, we can talk about the $300 whenever anybody else wants to,
right, but
let's also talk about the positives that has been put in place to try to reduce the liabilities that the city has had.
Okay. Right.
So.
We also talked. You just mentioned insurances.
Yeah.
There was something going on with the receivers saying that you guys were on a different insurance plan. Like somebody was on a different insurance plan. Explain that.
Yeah. So elected officials or executive officials were always on a different insurance plan.
Okay.
When I got there, I didn't ask to be put on no plan.
Right. They gave it to you.
They just gave it to me.
Right.
I'm like, all right, cool. You know what I'm saying? So that's just what that was. Elected officials or executive officials was on a more cost-effective plan where copays might have been, I don't know, $1 or something like that.
Right.
And that's a plan that has already been there for however many years. When we had the carrier was Keystone. Keystone. I feel like I'm saying it wrong,
right,
but I want to say Keystone. I don't know if I'm saying it wrong. No. Care First, so Blue Cross, Blue Shield. That's who it was. I knew I was saying something wrong. Always had that type of plan for many years and decades, and that's just what it was. So, but once the receiver said, "Hey, y'all on this extra or this plan that's more cost effective for you than somebody else," guess what we did? As far as a form of working with the receiver, we immediately got off the plan.
Right.
We went on the plan and got off the plan. Again, but that wasn't something that, it was just, that's how it's always been. All elected officials, all executive officials, they've always been on that type of plan over the years.
When we look at 291, we look at the corridor, I see a lot of open space, but I see a lot of spaces being taken up by the union to turn it into parking. You recently went into negotiation with the union to bring their facility here. Mm-hmm. Explain that and what benefits that has for the residents. Yeah, so first off, the city don't own a lot of land on the waterfront. We own some land in our residential areas, very scattered. But on the waterfront, we honestly might only own maybe 2 to 3 parcels, and they're very small. Right. And none of them, I don't think, are on the west end except for like Berry Bridge Park, I believe, which is like the parking lot for the fishing pier and things like that. So what the union did over the last probably 4 or 5 years, the union took the position that says, hey, no one's coming here to develop, so we got to be almost like the mall operator. Right. We got to put our foot forward if we want to see something around here grow. Right. So what they started to do like in 2018, 2019, they started buying up all of the areas around the stadium, all of the little plots of land, some of the parking lots and things like that. Not from the city of Chester, from private owners. Right. They negotiated their deals on the back end behind closed doors and negotiated it. That's their right to do that. Right.
And then when they said, well, we own all of this, now we got to do something with it. So we started through that entire process, the economic development master plan from Highland Avenue to North Street, to say, hey, what actually will work here? Like, not what's going to work in Philadelphia or in Camden or Wilmington or in all these Denver, all these other waterfronts. What's going to work here? And we did that by bringing in the community. We did that by looking at the county's landscape and things like that. So that's how we came up with the master plan. It's pretty much what they wanted to do. They said, well, listen, we all about sports, of course, sports management. We're all about sports management. That's a key point there. And then also in doing things for the youth and recreation,
right,
and for the community. So
they're going to have a pool.
I can't answer that yet. I don't know.
Got to get them. Everything has to have a pool. The kids have to learn how to swim, right?
I can't.
Olympic-sized swimming pool.
I'll find out.
I'll go down there and negotiate it with them.
Yeah, you could. You're supposed to. So they pretty much was like, we think that it's fitting to have a sports complex here, because what it's going to do is going to drive a lot of parents and kids down to the area as far as recreation. It's going to offer the opportunity for more, not just youth, but for adult tournaments and adult programs and things like that. Sports management programs and classes are going to be there. They got a weight room training facility. They got an indoor space with basketball courts and all those types of good things. A lot of people on here heard of like Spooky Nook. Right. That's up somewhere. I can't look at the location, but every weekend from probably Thursday to Sunday, it's events going on up there, indoor and outdoor. Right. And that's what they were like, we need to find ways to, because so many times people say it's not enough traffic down there to do anything. Like Wawa. Yeah. Wawa's trying to do a study. They're like, well, we don't know if it's enough traffic on 291, which I don't believe that. I think there's enough traffic on 291. More than enough traffic. Right. I think it's other things that's restricting them. But nonetheless, they said, well, guess what? They can't lie no more and say that it's not enough traffic, because we bringing people down here. Right. And not only that, what it's going to do is say, all right, so now how do we get retail? How do we get restaurants and things like that for people to not only come down here, but get the full experience of the city of Chester? So, absolutely. So what it's going to do is it's going to most certainly, obviously, add some job creation. It's definitely going to have a little bit more or a lot more people coming into the city of Chester for different games, tournaments, and entertainment to some degree. So I really think it's going to ignite the waterfront for more development and more fun things to do down there. And that's really what it's all about. I think it's about inviting people to the waterfront. In my opinion, people knew about the waterfront, but the waterfront got live during the pandemic because everybody was trying to come out the house, and I loved it. But what I did hear was that a lot of people don't know what's behind the wharf building, the old Pico plant. Right. They're like, hey, I've never been back here before. I know it was grass with some trees. Right. They got to experience the waterfront to what it really is and what it could be. Right. So when we say inviting, all of that included with making 291 more safer. So we got an Arley grant. It's about a $150,000 grant where we're going to put a traffic light on the off-ramp bridge. Too many accidents are happening. So we're trying to find safe ways or build safe corridors for people to walk and get and access the waterfront. So not just inviting those people that's not from the Chester, but also those that is from Chester. So I'm excited for it. I really am.
So you say the city owns Barry Bridge Park? Yeah. So
it's like that parking lot right underneath Commodore Barry Bridge.
Why the union able to park in it?
So they lease it from the city during their events. Okay. During their events, they lease that lot from the city.
Because that was a thing that Chef Lamont was talking about when he was in there. He said, we don't own that anymore, I guess.
Yes, we do.
All right.
There's a lease agreement.
But we're leasing it to them.
Yeah, bro. Right. Okay. And that's another reason why I'm here. You got experience, bro.
Right.
And not just, like, I'm not somebody that's just going to say, here, yes to the resolutions, yes to the ordinances. No. Right. I read. I want to understand what this is, why it's like that, how do we get here. No. The city owns Barry Bridge Park, the old area where it's like the old Wade dump site. And they leased that parking lot from the city for event games.
Let's go back to the beginning when you were talking about the $300,000. I'm sorry to keep going back to that.
Nah, you must be getting some comments over there.
No, I ain't getting no comments.
Oh, all right, it's all good.
I'm not getting any comments. I wanted to know, why didn't you call the receiver? Why didn't you talk to the receiver? What's the relationship between you and the receiver? Because it seems like it's very tumultuous, right? And if he's coming to fix it, like the receiver, like I talked to Ms. Barbara Muhammad, she was here, she explained what the receiver did when they had a receiver, when they fought to get a receiver here. The receiver is to come here and fix and find out where the money goes and where the money's not at. And really, the people in those positions should back up and say, all right, whatever he says we got to do, right? So where is the fight coming from between, whoever's in charge, right, and the receiver?
Yeah, so first, Pete, what I would ask a question on you is, as a professional, as a business owner, you have people that come in here that might suggest things.
Right.
Actually, we just experienced it not too long ago. All I'm saying is some things you agree with and some things you don't agree with.
Absolutely.
It don't mean that you're not working together.
Right.
We're just not on the same playing field as that, or this, or we don't agree.
Page.
We want to get here, but I'm taking A route, you're going to take B route.
Right.
It's just how it is, bro.
And I can't agree with you going on B route because B route can hurt some people, right?
Yeah, that's all it is. Right. So the issue that I have is that when the information is put out from others, because you've mentioned the receiver, it only makes it seem like that we haven't worked together at all. But I got documentation and reports that say, well, that was something that we collaborated with together.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so no, it's not that we can't work together. It's just that we from the city, we understand our dynamics of the city, and we make suggestions, and you either say yes to them or no to them. That's just how you work. You can agree to disagree.
Right.
As simple as that. So as far as why didn't I bring it to him? But confidentiality.
Okay.
100%. Wanted to make sure that we had as many facts, if not all the facts that we can have before we brought it to the public. I've been in situations with the receiver and their team where, and I'm not coming for them, but I'm just stating the facts.
Right.
Where we've had meetings and they said, we're going to keep this as a confidentiality meeting. Executive session, confidentiality meeting. We're not going to take it to the public, nothing like that.
Right.
In 60 minutes or less, emails have been sent. Well, the media knows about it now. Well, we just got out of a meeting an hour ago saying we're going to keep this confidential. We're not going to let the media know about it just yet. But then WHYY writes an article on it. So what I'm saying is, bro, that's the trust that I couldn't let that happen at that point. I couldn't because it was not enough information. It wasn't enough information out there yet.
You're trying to get the money back.
Yeah.
So I don't want you putting it out there that we already lost it.
And we know our people.
Right.
Once it's out there, more questions are coming.
Right.
So I'm like, no. We got to have as many questions or answers as we can with this. And of course, try to get the money back. So within the process of trying to get the money back, we're trying to find out, was our systems hacked? Was their systems hacked? What didn't we do? What can we do to do better? So that's why it wasn't initially brought to them, because of the experiences that were had of how things immediately goes to the media without us having a real chance or time to say, hey, this is how our feelings or this is what it is. So that's why.
Yesterday was the mayoral debate or forum.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get on how I felt about it, but it wasn't what I wanted from either one of my leaders, any of my leaders. Say all three, right? They mentioned something about Covanta. They were talking about Covanta, and I think it was said that okay, if you want to close Covanta down, what about the other pollutants that are down there, Delcora?
Yeah.
How can you open up Covanta's space? So I want to ask you, I'm not going to get into what I think. What do you see happening with the waterfront down there with Covanta and Delcora both being down there? Do you think if you're going to remove one, you need to take both? Or can you just take Covanta and leave Delcora down there fixing up human waste?
Now you got to have the same energy from all.
All right.
And they right next door to each other.
Right.
So it's not like, I mean, there's a few, let's say you remove Covanta. So, all right, you got a few additional feet, some yards to get to Delcora or whatnot, but
I'm not going down there and smelling that.
I'm just saying, bro. Right. So I hope to answer your question, I think that if one is removed, if you think one needs to get removed to do, I guess, economic development, I guess, I don't know really what the question was, but I think you have to do both because they're definitely near the same area. But my issue is always that people have this gripe against Covanta, but they don't provide the same energy to Delcora. They don't provide the same energy to Kimberly Clark. They don't provide the same energy to Marcus Hook or CSX or all of those things. So all I'm just saying is have a balanced playing field. Like, go after. If we don't
go after everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Ain't no sense of going after one if you're not going to go after everybody.
Because they all have the same effect on our community. They all, whether they call it environmental racism, as far as put pollutants all in the air, they all do that. They really do. Right. And what I've said, on both of because this came up in two of the candidate debates for the council people about this Covanta, and they always only say Covanta. And I said the same thing. Have the same energy, keep it uniform across the board. But what we need to do is continue to not only just have them meet expectations with the DEP, but we also need to have them exceed expectations, go above board, so that all of this stuff isn't going into our air and reducing our air quality. So that's what we need to do and continue to fight and champion for. And I know some of those are doing or trying to do that, but there are some that has most certainly just. And rightfully so, they're not being called out, so they going to stay in their closet or whatever the case may be. But it's also not even just in their closet. Like, we got to force them and have those conversations. Like, where do you currently stand with your, with the operations? What steps can you do to improve them? Getting the studies and things like that done on what's happening in these other facilities across the country.
Absolutely, absolutely. You are running for re-election.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I feel great, man.
Right.
I do.
Okay.
Bro, I don't lose no sleep no more. I used to.
Right.
I don't do it no more because I know I'm doing it for the right reasons. I know I'm helping somebody.
Right.
And at least those that want to be helped.
You can't please everybody.
You can't. And I understand that now, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
because you tried it first.
Yeah.
Right. You tried it first.
I really did,
you
man.
You can't please everybody, Will.
So, like I said, I think a part of me, I'm just trying to work on for the betterment of tomorrow, and whatever that is, or however that is, however we can tap into that, I'm all for it. So, but on this trail, I feel great. I feel blessed. I'm glad the great Lord continues to allow my feet to touch the ground every morning and really just go out here and just continue to champion for better quality of living for our residents. And you know, so we doing what we have to do. We doing what we have to do. You know,
I more than anything, you know, I just wanted you to come up here. When I told you, when you asked me for the interview, I said, "You sure you want to come up here, bro?" Like, because
he sure did.
Right?
I'm like ready to fire. I'm like,
what you mean? Yeah, I'm P, but I need you. You feel me? And I wanted you to come through here and really explain what happened with the money, because that's the biggest thing on you. That's it.
Yeah. It's
the money situation. You're running for re-election, right? I feel like you are qualified to do the job, right? I like your attitude. I like your composure. There are so many things about you that I like, but that's the one thing that makes me be like, yeah, bro, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like you explained to me earlier, right? Everybody makes a mistake. He's like, didn't you make a mistake, P? And I was like, yeah, I got to deal with it every day, right?
Yeah.
You know,
we make tons.
But you're willing to stand up in it, right? That's one thing I can say about this situation. So I want to give you that, and I want to wish you, you know, good luck, bro, because, you know, it's a lot of people out here that think they can do a better job than you. Mm-hmm.
Nah, definitely. Now, bro, I mean, I don't know the exact quote, but with Bane and Batman, he says something like, I was born in the dark, so I'm comfortable with it.
Comfortable with it, right?
So as far as standing in the line of fire and the bullets, like, you want a leader, somebody that's going to take on that, and combat that, and then come up with, all right, but this is how we going to go right after it. This is how we going to bounce back, and we're going to end up on top. Right. And that's just what it is. It's how I roll. That's how I am, bro. So again, I thank you for coming up here, man. You know I wasn't going to shy away from it, and I will never ever dim my light or shy away from something like that. Something that, again, is a mistake. But we're gonna be able to move forward.
Absolutely.
It's just what it is. So before, I don't know if we about to end it or roll up.
Yeah, we about to end this drink, bro.
All right, but all I would say is, you know, vote for somebody that's a proven leader. Vote for someone that's just transparent and really has the best interest for your city at heart. Someone that's 10 toes deep in this city, and that has been able to not only save the city money on an annual basis, that has been able to negotiate great deals to get recreation here for our youth, and that allowed the high schools to have actual hours of practice and games at facilities such as the Philadelphia Union. Someone that has also worked with our seasoned people here in the city of Chester, looking at as far as getting them transportation to different areas, as far as facade and home ownership improvement. By the way, keep on lookout for the American Rescue Plan. We have our home improvement program that we're going to be rolling out in the coming months. It's going to do great work. So what I'm saying is, I've been able to tap in and touch and affect on a positive side so many people here in the city of Chester. And trust me, I'm going to continue to do that, bro.
I want to thank Mr. Will Morgan, Councilman Will Morgan, for stopping by and having this conversation. Listen, he has sat here and he's accountable. He's standing in it. You know, I will curse, but I don't want to curse on the show, you know. But May 16th is an important election, right? And you want to make sure you vote for the people that you feel like you can trust. It's about trust. It's not about who you like. It's not about who you like to hang out with, who you like to party with. It's about trusting that they can get the job done, right?
Transparent from day one.
And understanding, and I explain to everybody, love is about forgiveness. You can't say you love anybody if you're not willing to forgive them. They can't hold themselves accountable for what they messed up with or where they messed up at. And you can't love them and move forward with it, then there's something wrong with you. You feel me? I feel like he's standing here, he's being a target for everybody to throw darts at him, and he's not complaining about it, right? He said, well, how do we move forward, right?
You want effort to get better.
That's leadership at the end of the day, right? I can take how you don't like this, you don't like that, you don't like this, but how are we getting better? Solution driven. That's who I am. I'm not with the complaints. I'm not with the fussing. Let's come up with some solutions. Let's help our children. I was watching something today. My man sent it to me. Well, he didn't send it to me. He posted it. And they're talking about China. Now they got the kids over there in China using AI. And we're using TikTok to dance and party and play around. And I said, man, in 10, 15 years, they're going to run the world. And our kids still going to be dancing.
Yep.
Solution driven.
Yeah.
Let's help our children. Let's make sure we get everything right for our children, because they're going to be the next us.
For the long term.
And if we don't set them up in the right positions to do things better than us, they're going to do it worse than us. It's CMPRadio.net. It's your boy, Uncle P, man. I want y'all to be safe today, man. Don't hurt anybody. And remember, give grace to everybody. It's CMP. Let's go.